Man, Jokic and the Denver starters had their legs crossed on the bench watching his reserves run against the Warriors starters late in a game that the Dubs never had a chance in without Steph Curry. That was not fun. What was the most frightening aspect? And can we take away a little bit of good? We'll try on today's program.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you so much for joining the program, making it your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. The only fun part about that game, I guess the best part, is that it's now over. Final score reading Nuggets 129, Warriors 104. It was never close. There was one little 12-0 run, I believe the Warriors had to make it a game in the first quarter, I believe it was. First quarter to second quarter gap bridge where Quentin Post hit that three, and I think the Warriors may have got it within a possession or two. But that was first half. Second half, not good, to say the least. My name's Charlie Walter, covered the team for 95.7 the past. Also, CBS Sports Bay Area. I'm your host of this program. On today, on the show, obviously Steph Curry out. Warriors down a man. I'm riding Stag. Friday night game, NBA Cup opener. You thought there would be some juice, and it just never really felt like the juice was there. It almost felt like a scheduled loss based on Kerr's rotations, based on just the lack of aggression by Jimmy Butler, which I have a theory on, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. The lack of PT for Will Richard really made me cope with some of the Kuminga fans out there that have been asking for more minutes over and over. I thought that was really baffling today. But let's take the positive away from today's game. It's that Steph Curry did not play. And clearly this is a different team with Steph Curry on the floor. And clearly your plans are to have Steph Curry when it matters. If you don't have him, who cares? You're not a contender, and you're not doing anything without him. This was a team last year that had 4 chances to win one game against the Wolves to potentially allow Curry to play in another playoff game and extend that series, and they couldn't do it. And it, again, looks like this team without Steph Curry they're getting swept, or maybe 4-1 to any team that's going anywhere in the playoffs. In short, they need 37-year-old Steph Curry to get them looks offensively, and then defensively, there have been some issues there. There have been some issues all season long. This team's got to get more athletic. I would think they have to get more positional size. And that's the interesting thing is, I guess positionally sized players that are effective don't necessarily grow on trees, because this offseason, they talked about getting positionally. Like they're self-aware. They know how they need to get better. Positionally sized and athleticisms were 2 of those things that they talked about. And their offseason consisted of Al Horford, who is older. He's very old, and he's an undersized center for the most part. And then Anthony Melton, he's long, I guess, but positional size, not really. Seth Curry, absolutely not. So aside from that, it was run everything else back. And the good news, again, no Curry. You're not going to see this lineup often, but it felt like one of those games. Where I wish I could get my time back, frankly. Obviously, we got to do the program. Obviously, if you're a fan, you may have flipped over to whatever you're watching on this fine night. A little Ted Lasso action. You're not caught up on whatever show you're watching, or you're just out with some friends, or you're just like, yeah, I'm not watching this right now. This isn't fun. If you watch till the very end, you either had money on the FanDuel live line, or you're likely a sicko, or you wanted to dissect the play of Will Richard, like myself, I guess. But I actually turned the game on late, 4 minutes after it started, because I couldn't find it on League Pass, and it just took me a minute to get on the stream and everything. So, and there wasn't that energy leading into it that made me think, I got to watch a pregame show for this. No, it was just turn it on, and within 10 seconds, 10 seconds after these ads ended, I see Draymond throw an awful entry pass to Kuminga. Nuggets go up by a ton. Then Jokic is scoring at will. Jamal Murray's hitting ridiculous shots and looks better than any Warriors player on the floor. And Aaron Gordon had one of the most disrespectful cross and jams I have ever seen in my life. That was beautiful by Aaron Gordon. That was a really nice play. The offense just looked bad without Steph. The defense, again, did not look good, but the Nuggets are really good. Let's also throw that in as, I guess, a positive from this game today. You're only playing the Nuggets how many times this season? And if you get them at any point in the playoffs, you're either facing them potentially in the second round Western Conference Finals, or you're the 8th seed or something along those lines, because they're going to be up there in seedage, you would think. They're really, really good, to say the least. So you can't be too upset at a game that you're not going to win without Steph Curry. You're 9.5-point dogs, but I hated the performance all the way from the opening tip to the in-game rotations to the effort. And the biggest thing, the big three, or at least the big three in a night that features load management where you need 3 dudes to step up. The big three is not the right word, but the X factor, the triage of players that have to be better. At least one of them has to step up in a given game. One of them. That's Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga. Duds from all 3. That's keeping it real. I mean, there's not really much else to say aside from the fact that they did not play good. They know they did not play good. Steve Kerr knows they did not play good. And there's really no spin zoning, any of it. Podziemski had 7 points. He had 3 assists. He was 3 of 10 from the floor for 30%. He was 1 of 4 from 3. He didn't get to the line. He was a minus 15. Kuminga in 27 minutes had 6 points, did have 7 rebounds. So you like to see him still crashing the glass, keeping his mind there. But he had 3 assists, had a couple of turnovers. He was 3 of 10. He was 0 of 2 from 3. And he looked a little, I don't know if timid's the right word, but just the flow of the game that he had at the beginning of the season did not seem the same. And again, I'll give you my take on that in just a second. Moses Moody, 19 minutes. Wish he had 19 points. 19 minutes, 2 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He was 1 of 9 and 0 of 6 from 3. So just doing the math right there, 7 of 29, less than 25%, those 3 combined to shoot. And they combined for 15 points, with Brandon Podziemski leading the way with 7. 15 points from Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski when you don't have Curry. That is not going to cut it. But what about the specific play from all 3 of those? I have some takes on Podziemski. Moses Moody, I think a lot of it tonight with Moses Moody. He played 19 minutes, first of all. I think he was just missing shots. He had some decent looks. He couldn't make anything. Again, 0 of 6 from 3. We've seen enough of, I guess last year towards the end of the season with the injury and everything, he was not shooting well. But this season, I feel like, and throughout his career, he's 37%. I feel like we've seen enough to where if Moses is going 0 of 6 and some of the looks are decent, you chalk that up as an L. But Kuminga and Podziemski, rather. Let's get into some of their performances. Also, Steve Kerr, a bone to pick for all the people that wanted to see some Will Richard. What can a man do to get on the floor and get some minutes? Sure, he showed 19 on the box score, but they were mop-up minutes, and he looked good in the minutes that he played early. It's a head-scratcher. All around, the effort wasn't necessarily there. You never felt like the Warriors had a chance in this game. Call it a scheduled loss. We call this show Locked On Warriors, and it returns right after this.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. The best part about DoorDash is that during the NBA season, they found the perfect way to keep in your bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, checking out your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. They have the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating that with something called the bag drop. So every time an NBA player scores 50 in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. It's any team. It's Luka. It's Ja Morant, it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, it's Tyrese Maxey at this point. Whoever's dropping 50, get that ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you'll actually want. They have you covered. So next time someone goes for 50, it's promo code NBA50. The next day, you'll get 50% off DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off, up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. That's DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's episode is also brought to you by our favorite jeanswear, now local in the San Francisco area, not in the area, in the city, Hayes Valley to be exact. Why you will love Doer. They're comfortable jeans. They look good. They're versatile. It's as simple as that. In an area like the Bay Area, where East Bay, South Bay, whatever, North Bay, you can get 85 degrees any given day. Peninsula, you can drive down there, it's 62. You want to go surfing, whatever. The jeans are light. It's 5 times the stretchability of traditional denim. They're good. Give them a shot because you're going to get 15% off. Go to 567 Hayes Street in Hayes Valley. Pick up a pair yourself. It's a great holiday gift. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONSF in store. You'll get 15% off your first order, or check them out at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF for 15% off. Doer is DUER.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
And buddy, stop trying to dribble the ball.
I guess that was an issue. Buddy healed to start this season. You figure that the barrage at some point's coming, and it has just not been there. He got a lot of run in the game today, and you would think that in a game that doesn't feature Steph Curry, maybe he would not get as much run. I do think that he works best with, Curry out there sometimes using his gravity. That has worked pretty well. And today in 20 minutes, he had 8 points, no rebounds, no assists, 2 turnovers. I would have played Will Richard over him, to be honest with you. I would have played Will Richard over Podziemski, although Podziemski was running a lot of point. I would have played him over Moody. Again, we'll get into some of the rotations in just a second. But when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga, talking about all the big three, the 3 players that are a focus point for this season, unless you make some trade at the deadline. Look, Jimmy Butler is not really tailored for these games right now. I mean, even in Miami, what he did best was facilitate for shooters. And when you don't have the shooting, because tonight, overall, 12 of 41 from 3 were the Warriors, 29%. Jimmy had 3 assists. It's hard to get more than 3 assists when you're 12 of 41 from 3. You can only create for others so much. He did have some nice passes. Butler's stat line in 31 minutes was 16 points. It was 3 rebounds. It was 3 assists. He was 5 of 10 from the floor, 0 of 3 from deep. You wish he would have taken 20 shots, but I do have a theory on this. I call it the free throw theory. I call it the Jimmy getting banged up theory. We'll get into that in a second. But I think Kuminga and Pods are the bigger story that we have to get to. I thought Kuminga looked hesitant. For as great of a start to the season as it was, a lot of it could be categorized by being able to really handle the role that was placed upon him. He wasn't taking a ton of shots. He was efficient in the shots that he took. He was playing confident. He was making the right reads. He was using his ability to get out in transition, the team to generate some defense, get him out in transition, make plays, facilitating more out in transition, and utilizing the fact that you have to pick up Kuminga or he's going to ram it down your throat and jam it. So I thought for the first time this year, really, because in the first half, second half of the game against the Kings was kind of hard to judge considering he was in foul trouble, and that's just always going to change the way that you're attacking. But I thought in the first half of that game against the Kings, he looked confident. He looked like, all right, I'm going to be the man out here. I'm going to be our main scorer. I'm going to look for mine. And in this game, he just kind of looked hesitant. Felt like he was out there wired to look for Steph Curry every time he had it or look to generate some form of offense, when in reality, it's like, no, without Steph on the floor, you're kind of the guy, man. That's the weird position that's not your fault that you've been placed in, to where when Steph's on the floor, it's, hey, let's move it because we're going to get backdoors and we're going to get constant movement. And the offense is a thing of beauty if we continue to just move it around, because that's the Steph Curry effect. And without Steph Curry on the floor, the Warriors offense doesn't look like a thing of beauty. Steve Kerr does not look like a magician. It didn't look good at all. They weren't getting good looks pretty consistently, especially when Butler wasn't on the floor. And I think he has that wiring right now where he's looking for Steph first. And it takes him maybe a split second to where, I saw Draymond a couple times basically saying, like, go, don't pass it right wing to Buddy, go. Like, this isn't what it was just a couple of days ago. And it takes him a second, just a half beat, to where then he says, okay, I got to make something happen. And instead of really being in the flow of the offense and looking smooth out there, it just kind of looked like herky-jerky. And it's always going to look herky-jerky when you don't make shots. If he hits a few of those mid-range and makes that layup and a few other the shots he missed, it's a completely different game we're looking at. But it just, to me, didn't look as confident and as smooth as it has just a couple weeks ago. And the good news is you've seen way more of the majority good Kuminga as compared to this version today. It's still got some rebounds and, didn't look that engaged out there, but he got some rebounds and confidence. That's all he needs. Again, he's got the talent, just consistent confidence. All three of these guys to some degree, but pretty much every game with Curry, he's looked good. And the last game and a half, he's looked a little bit off. And again, it's confusing to ask the entire team to play differently when Steph's out there compared to how they would have to play tonight. But regardless of how they played tonight, what they did, the coaching that was involved, they're not beating the Nuggets. Let's get real. That team's good. You're missing a $60 million player. And arguably, based on how the team looks without him, he's an all-NBA guy still. Pods was no better than Kuminga tonight. 2 of 7, 1 of 3, I believe, were the final numbers. Let's get the exact. No, he was 3 of 10, 1 of 4. So not too much better, but did hit a couple shots late to update that statistic, but wasn't creating, wasn't rebounding. Again, only had 3 assists and a couple of rebounds. And he pounds the ball into the pavement sometimes, or in this case, the hardwood, it feels like. To where there was that turnover that he had in the first half. There was a back-to-back stretch to where I could just hear you commenters that are saying less. I already know that during that stretch you were pissed off where he missed like the best shot you can get realistically, like a 6-foot elbow jumper that we all took on the little rotational drill in middle school growing up, where you just, basically 2 people on the baseline, you cut across and you just shoot jumpers at the same time to practice that mid-range for 10 minutes to start off practice. At least that's what we did back in the days. But it was that shot and he missed it, rimmed out, a little bit short actually. And the next possession, just a horrific turnover. He was just kind of dribbling way too much. Where are you going? What are you looking for? Who are you looking for? No plan. And again, that's where Jimmy Butler really helps, especially when he's aggressive. And tonight he needed to be more selfish, but I have a take on why he wasn't more selfish. And really it goes into the feeling that I had with the Warriors as a whole tonight. From Steve Kerr's coaching to Jimmy Butler to maybe even Draymond's defense, all of it tonight. It just did feel somewhat like a scheduled loss, one that truly didn't feel like they gave maximum effort. Never felt that way. Never felt like there was a lot of engagement. Never felt like there was a lot of belief. There was never really truly that run, aside from the one I mentioned in the first quarter. That was, I believe it was 12-0. Yeah, it was Post hitting the 3 at the buzzer. Jokic was out at that time. And the Warriors went on a 12-0 run to cut a 13-point lead to a 1-point lead. But that was the only good part of this entire game. Aside from that, I hope you caught up on your Ted Lasso. I hope, for 10 years, you've been talking about starting Breaking Bad, the greatest show of all time. And you got it done tonight because you didn't watch that fourth quarter because it was not fun whatsoever. Jimmy has to be more selfish. I got a theory on why he's not. Agree with me, disagree with me. It's a take, and it's coming up on Locked on Dubs.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Right now is a great time to join in with FanDuel because of some of the deals they have. First of all, it's America's #1 sportsbook. You got to love that. They're reliable. And with the NBA being back, you got to join in with the official betting partner of the association. Whether you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, they got live bets on who's going to score the next point, quarter bets, or even fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. I hope you did not take Warriors money line on this night. They were plus 9.5. If you thought you were getting some nice juice and you were going to take the take the special one out for dinner, that was not happening. You flushed your money down the toilet. It was not close. They needed about 20 more points. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when that first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play. The official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Always a good time over on Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, college basketball, or both. There's no better way to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, Prize Picks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least two player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere Prize Picks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia, NFL and NBA, not NCAA. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Their new stacks feature is a game changer. You could pick more on Steph's points, his threes, his assists, steals, whatever. Stack those up into a same lineup to bring up the payout. Code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA. $50 in lineups coming your way after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, where it is good to be right.
Destroy Jimmy and Domino's. I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
All right, so the Jimmy Butler free throw theory is as simple as this. He takes a beating to score his points pretty consistently. The thing that makes Jimmy so great, many things that make him so great, but one of the things that makes him good is his ability to slow down and control a game by getting to the free throw line and stopping momentum. We saw in the Sacramento game that when the Warriors started fouling the Kings nonstop, and the Kings were in the bonus with like 9 minutes left in the third quarter, that changes everything. It changes the complexion of a game, puts you back on your heels. It's like having jammed bases in baseball. You know, you're a better pitcher when you have the bases empty as compared to coming in with runners on first and third, whatever it may be. In football, bunch of penalties, they set you back. In basketball, getting to the free throw line is a huge advantage. And he takes a beating. Lakers game to get to the line 16 times. I don't know the exact numbers, but you would have to imagine he got fouled at least 6 times, potentially 8. And he's taken hard beatings. A lot of times it's from pump fakes and being a technician out there, being really skilled. And because of that, I mean, he's got dudes jumping all over his back. He's getting undercut by Amin Thompson in the playoffs, falling on his hip. I mean, he was questionable going into the game. And I do feel like there's a level of feeling out a game. And I mean, imagine how they feel out there. If we, the fans, can watch that game and within like 5 minutes say the Warriors are going to get their asses kicked. Like, you didn't think they had a chance in that game. No one did. It was ugly from start to finish. You feel out the game. You saw he was grimacing, like, I think after an and one, actually, but like 5 minutes into the game, he's already grimacing. He was questionable. You're down 17 almost the entire game. He just wasn't super aggressive. Kerr was super aggressive, though, which was weird. He let Butler run 3 minutes, I think, into the fourth quarter, down 24 points, to where it just felt like, hey, Steve, you watch the game, it's white flag time. This thing it's over. So I don't really get that. I mean, you pulled him in the Portland game down by a lot less with Steph Curry. And there was just some minutes there where it's like, I don't know if he's trying to get something on tape. That's what it almost feels like when you're watching Steve Kerr roll out some of these lineups. Like, he's getting things on tape to just, they're very analytically driven. We've seen some feature articles that the Warriors pride themselves in all the data. And I don't know if they're just trying different combinations and seeing how everything looked in film and on the data models that they run. But there are certain things that I just do not get. That's one of those things. The other is Will Richard. He looked good again today. He's coming off his first 30-point outing. Steve Kerr has said he believes in him, and he's just a good player. And you don't see a ton of flaws as of right now in his game that makes you think that you wouldn't give him some opportunities early, because the Warriors look terrible. Again, I think Post hit that three at the buzzer to what, go down 9 or 10? Like, it wasn't a good first quarter, and Will Richard didn't see a single minute in the first quarter. Buddy Hield and Moody looked bad, and Will Richard didn't get his opportunities. He sits the entire first, looks good in his few minutes, like scores 5 points within 2 minutes of being in the game, and he sits again for a while. And so now I kind of sympathize with the Kuminga believers out there that have said for a long time they feel like they're taking crazy pills. That's how I feel with Will Richard. Do I think he's some potential future all-star? No. Do I think in a game that felt like you punted it away, where there wasn't a lot of energy, that you would play the guy that brought the energy in the game? You would think so. It seems like a pretty simple move to me. And I mean, that Steve Kerr didn't coach a good game tonight, straight up. Will Richard, him and VJ Edgecombe are the only rookies to score 30. And sure, you could say it was a flash in the pan, but he had 12 tonight. He had 12. He immediately checked in, scored 5 points. He's got a quick release, kind of like, it looks like Jordan Poole out there, and knocked down one early. And you got, Pods missing a three at the end of the first, or I guess the end of the shot clock, I think. And Will Richard's there to bail him out and tip it in at the buzzer. And you're like, okay, there's another nice play from Will Richard. And then you see Buddy out there for as long as he was. I mean, I went through the final numbers of Buddy and how he started off the season shooting from three. I mean, the official numbers, I don't know if they've updated the 3-point numbers on ESPN as of right now, but the 3-point numbers before the game were 32%. So not great, especially when you consider how hot he was against the Lakers out of the gate, and frankly, how decent he shot it statistically in the game today. I mean, he was 3 of 7, 2 of 3. So again, statistically speaking, 8 points, but he gives you the 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals. Rebounding tonight, Warriors actually beat the Nuggets, which is always interesting because the Warriors were just so overmatched in terms of size, especially with Al Horford not out there. But it just, again, it made me think like Steve Kerr was using this game as an experiment. And I just thought it was a little bit interesting. I will say, I guess thinking about it more, it does make sense that they would keep Buddy out there running as long as he did, even over someone like Will Richard, because when you're down 19, 3's more than 2. And we've never really seen Buddy shoot the Warriors back into a game. It's usually he shoots them 15 points ahead of the other team. It's very rare that the Warriors are down 17 and maybe not even once, down a ton. And it's like Buddy Hield just brought him back in this game and they won. But that's what Kerr was probably going for. I don't know. Jamal Murray, though, he's so damn good. I picked the Nuggets to win the West for a reason. They're just really good. Murray had 23, an efficient 23, 8 of 12, 5 of 7. He's hitting shots off movement, off the dribble, catch and shoot. He's doing it all. Plus 25 out there. He had how many assists? 8 assists, facilitating 2. He was smooth. Jokic, 26, 7, 9 and 9 rather. So rebound and assist away from a triple double. We'll call that the triple double if the stats guy sucked. That's what Nikola Jokic had tonight. the 9-9. Maybe there was a blip in the radar somewhere, and he actually got the triple double. But 9-9. He was 12 of 15. He was 2 of 3, and the Warriors can't stop him. Draymond Green has in the past. Tonight, he couldn't really stop him. But shouts to Draymond. I mean, he hit 5 threes in the game, 6 of 12. He was the team's leading scorer. Not Jonathan Kuminga with 6 points. Draymond Green with 17 was your leading scorer. That's never a good sign. Never a good sign. Trace Jackson Davis had 9. Guy Santos had 1. Quentin Post had 14 points. I would have liked to have seen him run a little bit more, considering he was 6 of 6, 2 of 2 from 3. Didn't turn it over and grab some rebounds in his time out there. Would have liked to have seen a little more minutes from him. I would have liked to have seen all the lowest minus players, because no one was a positive tonight, but the lowest minus players, I would have liked to have seen them play. Butler was a minus 20. I would have liked to have seen him play, honestly. But some of the guys, Trace Jackson Davis, Quentin Post, Will Richard, I would have liked to have seen those 3 run a little bit more in this game today. And even Moody with 19 minutes. I wouldn't have mind seeing him run 25, 26 minutes, because you saw at the end there, he knocked down a shot, and that could have led to a couple more shots maybe that they hit. But again, the storyline of this game, Warriors never stood a chance, and that is that. Next up, the Indiana Pacers. They just beat you, and that, I believe, is their only win. 1-7 on the season. Not in action tonight, so they're 1-7. And do they have a back-to-back? This is actually relevant information. Yes, they have the Nuggets on Saturday. So the Pacers are coming in, second leg of a back-to-back for the second time against the Warriors. If they beat you, whether Curry's there or not, if that team beats you, I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? You got a player making damn near $60 million in Jimmy Butler. You have a couple of lottery picks. You have Podziemski, who you're talking about, being a potential long-term fit to this team. Like, at some point, whether you're missing one player or not, regardless of how amazing Steph Curry is and how much easier he makes the game for everyone else, if you can't beat the Pacers and you can't beat the Kings and you can't beat come on, what are we talking about here? Beat Indiana. We'll change the tune once they beat Indiana. But tonight was, it was not fun. Not fun whatsoever. All right, to the drawing board. Do I have anything else? I mean, the notes looks as such. Jokic is a damn monster. Buddy is in that phase that he was last year that makes me wonder how he's still getting minutes. And then I look at the final stats and I was like, a lot worse people than Buddy Hield tonight. And they showed that close-up of him on the bench at the end, and he looks sad. I was just like, damn, Buddy, like, it's going to be okay. You're just the cycle's right here right now. The experience is right here. Keep shooting. We're going to get back there. We'll get another 30-point night in a game 7 to advance in the playoffs, you would hope. But only way that you can get out of a slump is to keep shooting it. Draymond Green, the best offense. And again, the biggest talking point from this game, aside from the fact that it was never close, that's the headline. Warriors blown out without Steph Curry. The other headline, or I guess the subtext, would be Kuminga, Moody, and Pods were terrible. And I said all offseason, these guys need to be better than last year. If not, you should have looked into potentially trading them or whatever, because the timelines say that these 3 have to be consistently good. At least one of them. Hopefully 2 of them. When you see all 3 of them play well, like they did against the Suns, you roll the team out of the gym. You destroy them. And you're upset about nearly a double-digit win where Booker goes off. Or was it Memphis? I think it was Memphis. Either way, the game that it was Memphis, and the game that they did it, obviously 20 from all 3, the Warriors rolled. So that's how this team's going to get to their ceiling with Steph on the floor or not. They need those 3 to be better. Kuminga, Moody, Pods, internal development. They've shown flashes, all 3 this year, just only at the same time once. And tonight they were awful. Warriors stunk, wasn't fun. but you guys don't stink. Thank you so much for being part of this Locked On Warriors community, for hopping in the comments. I got 102 of them. I wish I could get to all of them. I'll throw a bunch of them up there. Please don't have any curse words on there. Actually, I just skipped over one. Evan Pascal, you almost got me, but you're not going to get me. Hopefully I didn't throw up something that is super ridiculous. But anyways, can't get to all the comments without the co-host on the show, where I get a second to breathe, or else it's 25 seconds of dead air for the audio podcast listeners. But to the audio podcast listeners, to those of you on YouTube, any way you can support, like, subscribe, 5 stars, all the good stuff that's free and takes like 10 seconds. I genuinely appreciate it. And even to the people that hit the thumbs down and hop in the comments and say, you suck. Thank you for helping us in the algorithm. And thank you for being a Golden State Warriors fan and supporting this team. Better days definitely ahead. This night was terrible. All right, everyone. Have a great night, a great weekend. We'll talk to you after the Pacers game. See you.